Star Wars, but I just thought it was going to be, it blew people's minds so big time. I thought everybody was going to respond the way you respond. And, you know, I don't know how much you know about the whole backstage of the release of the film.
Oh, Jesus, tell us, please.
It got absolutely dropped between two regimes at Fox.
Is that what ultimately happened?
Yeah,
it was pitched to one regime?
Because it came out just when one gang was gone and Barry Diller's gang was coming in.
Yeah.
And not to mention the fact that they didn't know what it was or what to do with it. You know, that's I completely believe that they were asking you how to market it. But the other thing is the producers themselves at the high level didn't know what they had. To me, the most telling fact about this whole film and its lack of conventional success is the fact that David Begelman, who was truly in charge, he was our executive producer, one of Hollywood's great scoundrels, he was our producer, and about 2 or 3 weeks into the film, he insisted that the DP be changed, the cinematographer. We started out with Jordan Cronenweth.
Yeah.
One of the geniuses. And Rick had always wanted...
Blade Runner. It was,
And look at the film. The scenes that you can tell which scenes he shot. He shot the great nightclub scene.
Yeah.
Remember, wherever you go, there you are.
That's right.
And you can see the difference between that and the whole rest of the film. Begelman said, no, we're going way wrong with this. Richter's model for the film was Diva, for the look of the film. He wanted to have that gorgeous, suffused with color, lots of dust in the air, you know, that incredible lighting that Cronenweth was so brilliant at. And Cronenweth said, no, Begelman said, no, we want it to look more like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Rick and Earl fought and they just lost. They didn't have enough power to withstand this. So instead of Cronenweth, we got Fred Koenekamp, who shot Patton. And look at the difference. I mean, what you end up with is the thing that we all love about Buckaroo Banzai, this kind of cheesy, almost two-dimensional cinematography. That's not what they wanted at all. They had to accede to that.
Jordan, can you wake him up or ask him if he's on narcotics or something, the guy next to you? Yeah, he's snoring louder than I'm speaking.
That's when I started talking.
Yeah, Jordan shot about almost a half. I think he almost shot a half. And that's, they didn't know what they had. The producers didn't know what they had.
They didn't know what it was.
And another interesting thing is that Bruce McNall, who, bless his heart, who owned the studio at the time, who later went to jail, but he was a friend of mine, and he benefited the film, would call me up and say, look, the Hunt brothers are sending their friends from Credit Lyonnais, you know, to come and watch the film being made. I get these every 2 weeks. The World Bank, Credit Lyonnais, I don't know, UBS, you know, Bank of America. These guys who are in bed with the money capitals of the world would come to watch the film. And a film being shot. Now, as John will tell you, he was doing a movie set, at any point in time, there's only 5 people working. And there's 180 people sitting around, you know, doing bingo or playing poker or smoking cigars.
Looks like yo-yo night.
Yeah, it looks like, and so I try to be the host, and I take these guys who were Begelman's buddies and these finance guys, you know, around. I said, look at this set, this is their rocket ship, and this, you know, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. And all I could see is them going, you know, watching dollar signs like a slot machine go through their eyes, going, and what are those guys doing? Oh, those guys are like grips. I said, well, what do they do? It's other than sit around. I said, well, no, they're going to move in a minute. And you can just see that the idea of putting money into a film was as far away from reality that these guys could conceive. And subsequently, you know, that's how much the producing line was really in touch with the film. Because people wouldn't understand. I didn't understand the film, so why were they sending these people?
Wait, what was the Bruce McNall connection? Was
Bruce McNall owned the
Sherwood?
Sherwood?
Yeah. And Bruce McNall's the guy that brought Gretzky to the Kings in Los Angeles, right?
Correct.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And also the guy that introduced me to ancient Roman coins, and hence I'm finishing a PhD.
Is that really? Because he was into rare coins.
Yeah,
that
was the source of his first millions.
Yeah.
Ancient Roman coins.
Yeah.
And so wait, he exposed you to coins, and that's what you're PhDing in right now?
My PhD's in Italian Renaissance art history and ancient Rome, but my whole fascination and entree to Rome was through numismatics vis-a-vis Bruce McNall.
And you wonder why they wanted you for Buckaroo Banzai.
But I think you're just...
By the way, aren't you a Fulbright scholar?
Yes, and a brain surgeon.
Yeah. You know, the thing is that I just applied for a Fulbright on behalf of the state of California and UCLA, and I got all this support to apply for a Fulbright. He is a Fulbright scholar, this guy. Give him an act.
I used to think you were a genius actor, but it just seems like you're playing yourself now, man. Like a genius guy.
No,
with multi-talent.
Well, I did play the trumpet, and I did sing, and I did play the solo, and then it was tweaked again and again by the guy who did Flashdance, Michael. Michael's.
Sandala.
Yeah, exactly. He tweaked it up. So I got to do all the music stuff, and that's what was thrilling to me, to do that, because I started off life as a musician and with the music school and so on, and still play with Jeff when we can in a group. But so yeah, you got to do it all, man. You know,
That dude's now wide awake in the front row. You got fucking bitch slapped by RoboCop.
Yeah, man, don't fall asleep while I'm talking about it. You know, go to the back of the class and
Do you remember, John, the first time you saw the completed film?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw it. I saw it by myself. I think I'd been overseas on a film or something, and so I think I saw it just with my wife and my son in a big empty screening room at Fox. Everybody else had seen it, and I was absolutely thrilled with it, completely thrilled. And I think that was still in the stage when I thought we'd made the next Star Wars. Such an uplift.
What did your wife and kid think?
Well, you know, it's so funny. Both my sons think it's the best acting on film I've ever done. And I'm not displeased that that's their opinion. It's certainly the biggest, if not the best.
And this is coming on the heels of two back-to-back Oscar nominations, right? It was for Terms of Endearment,
Garp, and then Terms of Endearment, and then this, yes. Footloose and Twilight Zone mixed in. They all happened, like, all my really great movies were made in about a 3-year stretch. I consider this one of them.
Did you sit in the theater when you watched it the first time? You were like, nomination number 3 coming up.
There was a cheesy sort of horror and fantasy award. But curiously, I did win that, but for Twilight Zone.
Later on?
The same year, yeah.
Oh my God, that's right. You're like geek royalty, man. And both of you are Dexter people now as well.
Dexter. That was a blast.
That's something.
Yeah, what a great set that is, Dexter.
Yeah. We haven't talked about it.
No.
You were great.
Yeah, well, I thought you were phenomenal.
You were incredible. You were just incredible.
No, you. Actually, the first time I saw John Lithgow was in the changing room, and on Broadway.
As a show?
Oh, John Lithgow is formidable. Have you ever seen
that was the play, The Changing Room?
Has anyone ever seen like my theater days correspond with John's theater days, and my theater days are thinned out, but to see John Lithgow on stage is powerful stuff.
Well, I saw you doing streamers.
Yeah, doing streamers. That's right. Yeah.
Why don't you guys just get a fucking room already?
You brought up Dexter.
That's true. Very true. All right, take me back to the moment when they do a premiere for a movie like this. In a world where they're like, we don't know how to market it.
They did a premiere for the movie here in New York that I went to, and on that night, a girl walked up and said, "Gee, I really liked your movie. Have you got another stick of that bubble gum you're chewing?" That's what she said. "I really liked that movie, but have you got another stick of that bubble gum you're chewing?" And it was Madonna. And that's the first time I ever met Madonna. I said, "Sure." And, you know, Roseanne Arquette.
They were working on
you know who that is? I said, "No." She said, "That's the next super rock star in the world." I said, "Oh, really? Sure."
You're like, well, I play a horn myself.
Yeah, I felt the same way, John. I thought I was absolutely in love with the movie. I was stunned by it, and at the same time, there was some voice in the back of my head that says, "Is everybody going to get this?" Mm-hmm. So I reiterate what John said about you, that was that you know, it's for the boy. It's, you know, it's a dense flick, and it's fun, and it's unique. You know,
I do remember that there were certain people who did think it was a huge smash. It was completely packed in New York, late into the night.
Yeah.
I was not in New York, but I got all, people were saying, "My God, this film is huge.
Yeah.
People are crazy about this movie." And, you know, you sort of nursed hopes that it would spread and spread and grow. And in a sense, it did.
It just took a little longer.
But as far as Hollywood was concerned, it was a flop. And, you know, the boys really did intend to do a sequel. They really were thinking about that fabulous stroke of arrogance. You know, look for the next one. They meant that. They had it all planned. Hopefully with other producers. I mean, it was kind of poignant because they were such good-hearted guys, and they had such a clear vision and such passion for what they were doing. And those are the people you always want to work with. And they were overwhelmed by the things they had to negotiate.
They were, I mean, now I hope they see, and I'm sure they do with time, they were right. They were just so far ahead of the fucking curve that it took people like almost a decade, if not two, to kind of catch up to what they were doing. At what point does the movie then, like, it comes out, doesn't really do much, and goes away? When does it start re-entering your lives? How soon before you start hearing people go like, "Oh my God, man, I love Buckaroo Banzai"?
For me, it has absolutely never stopped.
It never was a pause.
Yeah.
It never was a pause. I mean, it wasn't a blockbuster, it wasn't a hit, and like John said, by commercial value, as a movie opens, you know, it was a deadbeat, and it did get caught between Diller and Alan Ladd Jr., I think, but even Diller has talked about it as if it's like his film. And so, but I never heard anybody, there was never a lull as far as people saying, "Wow." That's the interesting thing about it. And by all accounts, the flattery that has been thrown my way since the movie, you'd think it was a huge hit. Because as many people talk about that as any movie I've ever done.
And they're all, you know, I'm greeted frequently by people who say, "Oh, I loved you in such and such." And it's been quite a variety of things. The coolest people, you know what they're going to say.
The hipsters, man.
The hipsters, you know, absolutely.
Yeah, down on the
It's usually dudes eating Twinkies.
Should we field a couple of questions?
Yeah, that's what's next.
Right.
We're going to them now.
All right, I leave it to you, man. You're in charge.
Not at all. You're in charge, Bob. That's all what you did.
A guy who drives a jet car through a mountain is not lacking in control-free guys.
Let's open it up to you guys, man. Questions from the audience. I'm going to hit you with a mic if that's cool. Unless, is there a roaming one? If not, I can just do this. Hey.
Oh my God, he's got the shirt on.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, whenever I've seen one of these people, I saw a guy the other day, he came up to a fundraiser, and he had a tattoo of RoboCop on his neck. And he said, "Look at this." And about that time, I'm thinking, okay, where's the Glock 9mm? Go ahead.
Not so much a question, but a comment. My name is Gareth Skarka. I'm a writer and a game designer. I have a license through Mac and Rick to do a Buckaroo Banzai role-playing game. And I just wanted to tell you, to echo Kevin's thing, I think, you know, they used to say that the Velvet Underground, only like 1,000 people ever saw him play, but every one of those 1,000 people started a band. And I think that Buckaroo Banzai had the same effect on creative types. Anybody who saw that movie and had it burrow into our heads, we went out and created stuff, so thank you.
You're welcome.
going up there.
Did you get any feedback from the Jamaican people about?
Did you get any feedback from the Jamaican people?
No?
No, I got feedback from American blacks, though, that thought it was, like, so racially hip, right? That there's a metaphor in there. If you notice, the bad guys are redneck aliens.
Right.
I mean, are you getting that at all? Like,
Yeah.
and they literally have red.
And the blacks are the good ones.
Yeah, the blacks are the good guys, yeah.
And I would say, no. That's, by the way, is Carl Lumbly, who plays the good John Parker.
That's great.
Wonderful actor.
Whatever happened to the sequel?
Well, I'm waiting. I was blasted in the 8th dimension, so. But the boys did want me to play Hanoi Shan. At least they told me that. Yeah. Of course, I would have been in real trouble with the Vietnamese.
It's all bound up in legalities. They try to do a TV series. They've always been talking about sequels. You know, there's a legal hassle with it about who owns what with it. And I think that's what's really stopped it.
That is so awesome that you were going to play Hanoi, John. They told you that?
Yeah,
That would have been an awesome way to bring you back.
Well, they wanted me to think about it. That's how. I've been thinking about it ever since.
Have you been looking for like a wardrobe guy that does Vietnamese?
I wouldn't want to get Roberto Terminelli involved.
Somebody else. Yeah, right up there. Go ahead.
It's okay.
Security.
He doesn't have, there's no weapons. There's no weapons.
Oh, he doesn't have a 9mm.
Just sort of echoing what he had said about the movie and the impact that it has had on people who like it and creative types. At the time, there was a newsletter that was put out by some of the people at Fox that was then continued by some fans after that, and then has come back bits and pieces. Over time, over the 20th anniversary, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And what we had done is taken some of the best articles from that in the last 10 years and threw them together for this, and they were out in the lobby, and hopefully there are still some there if you didn't grab one. But we wanted to make sure that you guys got a copy of the newsletter, and at the time that the DVD came out, the special edition with all of the extra footage, we had an article in Video Watchdog. So we've got you on the cover of Video Watchdog, and you on the cover of the newsletter. And I wanted you guys to have a copy so you could hopefully enjoy it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It is a movie that really, as you were saying, it sparked creativity. I look at this movie and its genre-defying manner as a movie that, to me, influenced probably Red State a lot. This movie I just did recently. It's a movie that, when I watch this movie, it just drops you in the middle of it, and you're expected to catch up. It doesn't spoon-feed the movie to you. So watching this movie, man, very influential to me. I'm going to do a gross plug for myself. We're in the middle of the New York Film Festival right now, a world away in Spain. The Sitges Film Festival is happening, and they gave Red State the best film of the festival. That shit don't happen unless I sit down as a 14-year-old and watch a movie that says, I don't give a shit, you'll catch up sooner or later. Think, buddy, think. It doesn't, most audience members kind of get ahead of the movie as they watch it. We've been watching variations of the same themes and stories for so many years that you sit there and watch a flick, you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen, this is going to happen, this guy's involved, I bet you that's the killer. And this is a movie you can never do that with. And it's inspiring for that reason. It makes you believe, hey man, if they can do it and it stands the test of time, maybe I can do it too. So I thank you guys for that. Let's go back to the audience right there.
Given the nature of viral phenomena in today's media, and really disseminating and disseminating knowledge about new films and international, how do you think this works with the cinematic these days? And what do you think the potential would be, and how would you choose?
Real quick, a long question, but to truncate it, was essentially this movie came of age pre-internet, right, is what you're saying, and had its own viral campaign of sorts. They went to a few comic book conventions, I remember. The question is, how would it do if it was released today? I just want to...
I think the movie was so ahead of its time in that particular area. It would have benefited enormously by the digital age. Because word would have gotten out. You made that point in introducing the film. Everybody would know about Buckaroo Banzai, and everybody would know how cool it was.
And they would talk about weird things, like there's a scene where the dude's like, "What's with the watermelon?" He's like, "I'll tell you later." So much meme-worthy stuff, like the idea of no matter where you go, there you are. It's full of stuff that the internet would absolutely love. But the other question was, how would they do it differently? How would you do it differently today to exploit
How would they shoot it differently?
Or how we change the dramatic structure? What would we change about
I don't think that Earl MacRauch, if he was writing it today, would change the structure of it. I mean, that's the thing what John was just saying. Earl MacRauch lost something like 600 pages in the back of his truck of scripts that he was working on while he was shooting Buckaroo, and everybody, all of his friends flipped out, and he said, I could give a shit. It's all in my head, and I'll rewrite it in a second. So I don't think, like the ongoing, tone of Earl MacRauch ideas, I don't think he would change a thing. I mean, he was definitely not particularly married to any one thing about it. It was constantly in kind of flux.
It's an interesting question. It's a cheesy looking film in a lot of ways. I mean, the spaceships, those great big blobs, and special effects have become so extraordinarily sophisticated. But I think that I honestly think I so wish that Richter was here and Earl, but I think that appealed to them. I think that they liked the kind of... I remember them talking about the big Blob, Mike Riva Creations,
right.
our production designer. He created the spaceships and the great mess of all the technology and those ridiculous tall bar stools that on those big Blob spaceships. It's completely nuts, but they loved that idea. And they wanted everything to look organic.
Yes.
That was the other thing. They wanted to look like mold that had grown out of control. That was the whole... They wanted it to look kind of...
They loved this ersatz kind of the feel to the whole flick. And so if it was redone today, it was done... If it wasn't them doing it, it wouldn't be this film. It wouldn't be all the things you said.
Right.
It'd be the run-of-the-mill, standard fare...
And all the big franchise films are comic book films now, but this is a real comic book.
Yeah.
This is what comic books look like.
And this is a precursor to a lot. I mean, you look at this movie now, and you're like, oh, it plays like a comic movie. They didn't exist really back then. This is even pre-1989's Batman. It follows Superman, but doesn't follow any Superman structure at all. They've incorporated comic books into their world, and the many things that Buckaroo Banzai does, their exploits are followed every month in a comic book and stuff. And I remember that. The extended universe of it was just, everything about it was delicious, man. It was just like, this just keeps going, and they've got little kids who carry guns. This is amazing. It all happens in New Jersey?
The great anti-liberal shock, to all of my touchy-feely friends in LA is that the whole fucking band pulls out heat.
They're crime fighters.
That's like,
It makes perfect sense. They're crime
Artie
fighters.
to a point.
Right?
Yes, right there in the middle.
Oh, thank you. This was the defining moment for me in high school. I hung with the good girls and the geeks. And I took the good girls to it on a Friday night after seeing you guys do a press appearance on the John Davidson show. And you couldn't stop laughing. And it was the one time I actually watched the entire John Davidson show. So I took the good girls to it that night. It was Friday night. And we walk out of the theater. I'm like, this was great. And they go, what movie did you watch? So I go back on Sunday afternoon with half of the math team and the president of the physics club. I am now the best girl to take to any party they ever throw. And now these guys have gone on, and two of them are teaching at MIT, and one of them is an Imagineer for Disney. And so it was just, to me, okay, these are the ones you go see the romances with, and this is something that really touched me. Okay, let's get geeks. So I thank you for that.
All the best people love Buckaroo Banzai. Let me just ask, raise your hands if you were seeing it tonight for the first time. Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
You're the ones who should be up here answering the question.